Welcome to People Behind the Power, part of the Metric Podcast Network. Data centers are the backbone of the digital world, but behind every facility, every build, and every operational decision, there are people making it happen. Every episode, we sit down with the leaders driving the data center industry forward, the careers they've built, the teams they've scaled, and what it actually takes to deliver at the pace this sector demands. A Metric DCX production. This is People Behind the Power.
Hi, I'm George Bacon with Metric DCX, and we're here on day one of Data Cloud in Cannes, and I'm joined by Karen Petersburg, the Senior Vice President, Design and Engineering with American Real Estate Partners, Powerhouse Data Centers. Karen.
Hi, yes.
Good to see you.
Thanks for having me,
No problem. Thank you for coming.
Yes.
Karen, I've introduced you very briefly there, but for those who aren't aware who you are or who your organization is, if you could give us a brief intro, that'd be great.
Sure. So I'm the Senior Vice President of Design and Engineering, as you mentioned. So I oversee the design, procurement, and sustainability programs at Powerhouse Data Centers. For those who don't know Powerhouse, we've been around almost 5 years now. American Real Estate Partners, of course, has been around about 25. And so we have a huge history of really well development and acquisition platform background. And Powerhouse came into fruition right around COVID. However, it'd been conceptualized way before that, but became started breathing actual life around then when the market was, obviously starting to boom. And we began with a one-building campus called ABX locally in Ashburn, where our office is headquartered in McLean, Virginia. So in the United States, we're only a U.S. Developer right now. But anyway, we started with one building, then we went to a multi-building campus, and now large-scale 1.8 gigawatt campuses and larger. So we really started with a walk-run approach. So we're pretty excited at the speed and the trajectory of where we're going right now. So it's exciting times.
Amazing. Karen, thank you for that. Talk about you. How did you get into this? It is obviously going crazy at the moment, and it's brilliant, and it's an incredible industry to be a part of. How did you get into it?
Yeah, it's a good question. Probably like everybody else, is non-traditional track. I have an undergrad in political science and a master's degree in philosophy. So like anybody else landing in the industry, right? But I was teaching philosophy at a community college and also at Virginia Tech, and decided to move home to be near my family. And when I did, there were no similar positions opening up for someone with a master's in philosophy. So I had to get a job, and I went with a place headhunter, and they put me in a company called Brothers Concrete for 2 weeks. So I did that. And then at the end of the 2-week stint, they offered me a job. So I said, why not? So I went into the concrete subcontracting role as a pre-construction coordinator. And then halfway through, they wanted me to do some business development. So I went and was giving donuts to the general contractors to garner up business and understand where the market was. And so through those interactions, I met Jackie Ryan, who introduced me to DPR construction. And from there, so I went and started working at DPR Construction as a PE/FOC, which is the person who does contracts and insurance and does some of the back-end paperwork for the general contractor. And so I did that, but I was doing that within the tenant improvement group. And then after about 3 years, it kind of got boring, and they had an opening in the mission-critical sector in Ashburn, Equinix DC-10 project. And so I was like, oh, that'd be fun. Let me go try that out, see what that's like. So they put me in charge of the electrical subcontracting company, like just as the scope. So I was like the electrical subcontracting manager or something like that. So I learned hands-on at the time how the electrical equipment started working together, and I just found it was so fascinating with the controls and commissioning, and then how the mechanical intertwined with that. And so I really just fell in love with the MEP side of things. And so I was on the MEP coordinator track through DPR Construction. I was doing that for 3 or 4 years, and then the commissioning agents, there was a commissioning agent that was working with us, and I wanted to keep going and be an MEP coordinator, and DPR was like, well, if you want to do that, you need to have more commissioning experience. And so I was like, great, I'll go and learn commissioning somehow. And then oddly, it was like one of these universal crazy things where the commissioning agent we were working with needed a commissioning agent and a project manager. And I was like, well, great, if I need to learn this, I might as well learn it as the commissioning agent. So I went and worked for Iconics for a couple of years. And when I did that, I was working for Digital Realty at the time when I was at DPR Construction. And the design manager there, Dan Brees, was like, oh no, Karen, we need you to keep working on our projects, even though you're not at DPR. So they hired me through Iconics 50% of the time to continue working with them while I was at Iconics until they had a job open for me. So then I went over and worked for Digital as a design manager for a while, and then moved on to design director, overseeing the QA/QC process for all of our designs globally. Anyway, yeah. That's how I got in.
Amazing.
That's a long story. Sorry.
Not at all. That's brilliant. Again, your career path, like looking at this from a recruitment point of view, is perfect. You've gone sort of subcontractor, GC, big owner operator, and now with an incredibly well thought of developer. Any particular move that you see as pivotal or that really made a big difference or really sort of changed path to lead you to where you are?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, oddly enough, the hardest choice I had to make was going from Iconics to work full-time for Digital Realty. And I think it was just very tough because I was doing a lot of really good things at Iconics. I loved the company. I loved the owners. I loved the whole prospect of what I was learning, and it was a small company, new business, so it was easy to influence. So when I went over to Digital, it took a long time to make that decision to do that full time. But when I did, I was glad I did because it opened up a whole new thing to learn, and that was really exciting. And so I think that was one of the most pivotal decisions I had to make. And then coming to Powerhouse, it was easy for me. I was ready for a change, and it gave an exciting opportunity because when I joined Powerhouse, I was overseeing development portfolios, like from acquisition stage, like when they got ready to then hand over and to do development and construction, and then all the way through commissioning. So I got to oversee large-scale projects, basically pulling all of my skill sets and all of my background together. And seeing it at a higher level and being able to orchestrate it all was super fun and exciting. And so that part was really cool.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And was there a point where you decided you really wanted to continue progressing? You wanted to be a leader. You wanted to do what you're now doing in this industry, which is, doing what it's also doing.
Yeah, that's a tough question. I never really saw myself as a leader. I just always just did stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's why.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a hard question. I think I just always fell into things or saw opportunities and just made things happen. I don't know how.
I think the way you spoke about your level of interest and level of intrigue in all the electrical components and how things actually work and how things come together, and then taking that to a bigger scale with DPR and Iconics, and then a bigger scale with Digital Realty, and now the overview that you have and the scope that you take responsibility for with Powerhouse is massive. I don't think that happens without that genuine interest and intrigue and like, how do things work? I want to understand this. I want to get better at this. This is what I want to have an impact on.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I think what's been great when you get to be at that vantage point overseeing all of it is that you do have the opportunity to find new ways of doing things and find ways to make things more efficient. And what we were able to do at Powerhouse is develop a sustainability program based on the human integration model, which is a new way of thinking about how do we orchestrate great things to happen using people-centered focus. So really leaning in on what does it mean to be a human and human interacting with other humans within a structured ecosystem, and then how do we create ways to have these people work together. So we built this whole program, our sustainability program, based on that, and it's a chapter in the Greener Data book also, talking about what it is, but it's a new operating system, really a new mindset, a new way of thinking that would not have been able to ever happen if I wasn't at that higher level vantage point, because I was able to see how the ecosystem works together and how it thinks, and I saw how you need to think in order to create innovation and to create ways to make efficiencies happen. So for example, and this is an example in the Greener Data book, but it's pretty important. When you sit there and you think, I guess we'll use security as one, but my friend Amy, she's CEO, co-founder of something called the Security Impact Collective. And what that group does is it integrates end-to-end security when people don't think about it, right? As a developer, we have no line of sight to what the tenant security needs are going to be most often. So you're designing and thinking things blankly almost. So how do you do that and be thoughtful in a way you're not throwing things away and just wasting materials, right? Because you want to be a sustainable developer. We care about the environment. We care about the people that we're working with and the communities that we're near. So, if you think about it like that and you're like, well, how do we solve this problem? The only way to do that is if you're a fence manufacturer who is able to talk to the end user, talk to the supplier, talk to the GC, talk to every single person up and down the stack in order to come up with a solution that works for everybody. So you have to have a higher level perspective in order to put all of the pieces together in a way that makes sense. So what happened was they ended up creating a tenant agnostic fencing product that you can put in the fence. It's an Ameristar product, I believe. You can put in the fence early on, and then if the tenant has different requirements, you can just adjust the different things in the fence itself. So you're not have to throw anything away. There's no temporary use and toss, right? And so it becomes really crucial. And then there's other ways to think about it too in terms of going speed to market. How can we cut out 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks? Well, you can if you get people who aren't normally working together to work together, but you wouldn't know to do that unless you're able to see the bigger picture.
And again, that insight is incredible. You've touched briefly there on sustainability and environment and community. It is obviously a really big talking point within the data center industry at the moment. We are incredibly passionate about this industry. We love it. We love working in it. We love the opportunities it creates for people that we work with. There are so many misconceptions about the data center industry at the moment. We want this to be a voice of positivity around that. Talk to us about some of those misconceptions. What are some of the bigger ones and how are we going to overcome them?
Yes, good questions. Very, very tough ones too. Yeah, I think there's three common ones, right? Water use, noise, and energy, right? They think that we're inherently the biggest, largest energy guzzlers. They think that we are very loud and we're going to, bust the eardrums of your neighbor. And I mean, the water use is crazy. And it's so interesting because the facts that they come up with and how they explain are so not based on truth, right? And so you don't know where their sources are coming from necessarily. And so when you combat their facts with, let's say, our facts, like water use, for instance, just to take an example, like how much water we use today based on, no more air, evaporative cooling, right? We try to go more to air cooling. And then, of course, the liquid to chip is different anyway, because it's a different loop. But really trying not to use any amount of water. We use less water than a golf course than 4 houses worth of water, right? And people just don't know that. And when you present facts with facts, they don't believe you either. And so from a conversation standpoint, it's really hard to meet people in the middle. And in order to truly change the sentiment and to get people to understand, what's right, what's not right, you have to move beyond the argument and get to the person. You have to be able to have the face-to-face interaction where you figure out, what are you really concerned about? Like, what is your actual fear here? Is it AI coming into your backyard? Is it, the line of sight you have from your house? What scares you? Where does the fear come from? Because truly it is fear-based that's out there right now. It's people are scared and they're fighting and they don't know why they're scared and they don't know why they're fighting, but it's giving them a reason to feel alive. And so there's a lot of people just jumping on this bandwagon because it's fun. For them, they can feel like they're doing something good, but they don't really know why. And so it's really important for those who care about advocating for our industry to come at it heart-led, meaning it cannot be combative, to your point, right? It has to be led from just universal love, 100%, knowing that that person over there is scared. They have fear driving them, and that's a bad place to be. And so trying to figure out, how do we show them love? How do we show them that they can be safe, even with our industry next door? That there is a possible way where we can coexist. And what does that look like? Maybe it's different than what we originally thought as the developer, but the only way we're going to know that is if we talk to them and see what it is that they want. So you have to be able to come together in a forum, face-to-face, individual to individual, talk to each one, get to know them, figure out what's going on. And one of the strategies I heard, which is so interesting, I was at the Green Building Initiative's data center seminar, and there was a person up there talking about a great way to go. And he said, look, if you want to go understand the local sentiment, talk to the police. they're the ones that know who's head of the HOA. They know who complains. Get to know who those people are. Start having those individual conversations. Figure out what is driving the angst and the myths and all of that. Anyway, I had verbal diarrhea there. Sorry.
Thank
I just
you.
got excited.
It's a great answer. It's a brilliant answer. And it's so interesting to hear it from someone in your position.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Okay, Karen, we're going to talk about talent a little bit. We are recruiters. We are headhunters. This is
Yes.
what we bring to the industry. What's most difficult to find? What do you struggle with? What do Powerhouse struggle with?
Yeah.
What do you think, either a function or even a specific role?
Yeah.
What's most difficult to find and hire right now?
The hardest one we've found is director of construction, but it's development and construction. And we were chatting about this just a little bit ago, but it's hard because we can find directors of construction. Like, that's easy for the most part. You can not to say pluck from GCs, but generally speaking, there's a lot of great experience from GCs that can come out and kill it, or owners reps, things like that. But when you add the development component part, that's the part that's hard to find, somebody who's got that as well as the construction. But that's really what's key to our success, is understanding that, you know, our construction partner, whoever's running the construction, has to know the upfront side too, has to know the four corners of the deal. So that's the legal stuff, that's the money stuff, that's, you know, obviously the construction stuff, and then there's the land acquisition pieces and entitlements and all of that. Because in order to do it properly and to do it well, you have to know all of the upfront pieces in order to track it thoroughly throughout the whole cycle. And so we struggle. It's like 6 months to fill that role. And we also like our directors to be local to the office, because there's a lot of interaction that has to happen, a lot of things that we do, and it's easier for, you know, the directors to be local, or at least on the job site. If they're local, they've got to be on the job site, right? Something like that. So it's just been really hard to source certain roles in certain locations, because, you know, you think about what's happening in the sprawl that we're doing, you know, with the power and trying to figure out how to get the power and the land and the fiber and where do we go. You're usually going to areas that are maybe not tier 1 or tier 2 anymore, right? You're spreading out. And because of that, it's not like you have a director of development and construction that lives in rural Idaho, right? Or wherever we're talking about. And so it's really hard, because then you have to source people and then move them, or they're remote doing the project. And so it's just really tough.
Yeah. We obviously add value to the industry because people are hard to find. Like, that's why we exist, and we love it, and we take pride in that challenge. Without just trying to make our job easier, the talent needed within data center development outweighs the talent available from that industry directly, because it's just growing so quickly, and it is growing so quickly. So where can we take from? What are adjacent industries that work or have skill sets that you know are going to line up for you guys?
Well, I think because of the mission critical nature of what we do, you know, I would say healthcare, pharmaceutical, oil and gas, nuclear, of course, anything from the Army, you know, and military's got some great experience. But I would think from an industrial perspective, you know, anything that understands the criticality of the 24/7, what that means, and then the procedures around safety to make sure that you're doing everything right, you're not skipping steps, and you're being thoughtful about how you approach the project, the role, whatever it is you're doing, it's going to be good. And then, of course, you know, healthcare, they have mission critical aspects to it, so they understand the equipment pieces that go into the whole thing. But the data center industry is special, and I'll say that if you get into our industry, you're blessed, because it is a homegrown group, right? Everybody knows each other. I mean, it used to be really small. It's not so much anymore as new players are coming in, but it's one of those special kept secrets that if you do it right, you navigate it well, you will find a family. And I think that's one of the most important things that you can do, because you only have one life to live. And if you got to go to work and that takes up a good majority of your life, you want to do it where you feel safe, you feel happy, you feel supported. And you'll do that if you have a network of friends and people outside of your day-to-day. And you can also find it in your company, but there's so much importance around networking and networking properly, not just going out and selling your widgets, but going out and building relationships, figuring out who your friends are, getting to know people. It is truly a people industry. And so anybody can do it. You just got to be a person.
Yeah, you know? I think that's a great point. And also, I find what you just said to be true. I also find like people are interesting.
Yeah.
People are fascinating to talk to. Like the depth of understanding they have on certain topics is like, it's interesting. If you're interested in this industry, again, I do not pretend to know it as well as you do or as well as other specialists do. Like, I know what I need to know to do my job well. But when you ask questions and people give you answers and you're like, wow, like that's amazing. The other point I wanted to make is if we are going to take from other industries and other sectors, you need people in-house to add the data center bit.
Yes.
To add that little bit extra that people might need coming into the industry. And I know, you're in an organization that has those people, which is brilliant.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, we're struggling a little with outside resources to solve for some of that. How do you teach the data center industry to people that need to get reskilled? And so I think there's going to be a growing emphasis on what that is, because we know from an industry perspective that it's unsustainable. You said it. It's like we are tapped out and we have to look to other industries, but we also want to, when they come over, we want to equip them properly so that they hit the ground running. And so I think we're going to see a lot of emphasis on training programs that are going to teach reskilling to these groups coming in, and it could probably, if everything goes well, will be available proactively. So those who are interested in the industry but don't have the ability or skill set to come in, they can take the courses and then get signed off, get accredited, and then be able to come into our industry already with the knowledge rather than having to learn it hands-on experience. So we're really looking forward to seeing that happen.
Amazing. Technical skill sets are so important in our space, and you can quite often quantify them looking at a resume or looking at where someone's worked or projects they've worked on. Give me something that really appeals to you or really appeals to Powerhouse across the board that you cannot quantify, whether it's a characteristic, an attitude, a principle, a value. Give me some human things.
Some human things. So one of the things that we love to see is drive for action. So even if the bias for action, even if you get it wrong or you get in trouble, doesn't matter. You are taking the initiative to get something done, because there's always something that needs to get done. And if you want to sit around and passively wait, it's not the right fit, right? We want people who are excited, who are passionate, who are go-getters, almost entrepreneurs in a way, because they need to have a lot of ability to do things independently, just to run with little information, to be flexible. Like one of the biggest keys that we look for is like, you have got to be flexible, because you think you know one day what's happening and then the next day it changes. And that just happens over and over and over again, because in our business, we just don't know. And that's why I find so fun about what we do, is that it just, every day is different. You think you know, and then it switches. And so you just never know. And so it's like a constant game where you have to continue to do and change and shift to make things continue down a path. And so it takes a certain kind of person to have that ability. A lot of people want structure, and structure is great and it's important, but you also have to be able to do things without structure. And then you have to do things within the structure. So I don't know.
No, it's a great answer. And I think the pace at which everything moves is a great point.
Yes.
We've got a partner at the moment, and speaking to someone that we put in that business, they said it is exactly as you described it. There is an element of chaos. There is uncertainty, but it's amazing.
So
what they said was amazing is that job titles don't mean a great deal.
Right.
Whether you're an associate, you're a VP, you're an SVP, whatever you are, like if there is something to be done, like, let's do it.
Yes.
Like, structure is amazing and it is useful, and we need process, but we also need what you've just described. Like, let's get things done. Let's take action. Let's move forward.
Yes. And then do it in a teamwork mindset, right? Collaborative mindset, not just, and I think this is going to happen also, is that the old ego-centric control way of doing things is shifting, and it is leaving, and collaboration is now happening. It is the name of the game to move forward. You can't go in thinking this is my role and I'm going to make something happen. You have to think it's we role. How can I make my team successful? How can I support somebody else to make the company successful? It's got to be a we mindset.
Collaboration is so key within organizations. I have no idea what your answer to this will be, but do you think there's room for further collaboration in the industry in general between developers that externally we might see as competitors?
Oh, 100%. We're already seeing that now. The shift has shifted. Developers want to work together to solve the community engagement issue. They want to work together to solve the workforce pipeline issue. You cannot solve it alone anymore, and everybody knows it. And so I think, and I'm seeing it actually happen now, but the whole ecosystem's getting together. It's the developer, it's the owner, it's the engineer, it's the architect, it's the vendor, it's the supplier, it's everybody in the ecosystem is getting together to work on something, to solve something for our industry. The industry is banding together like I've never seen it before, and it is awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Karen, you've got to where you've got to. I'm not by any means saying you're done, but what motivates you to keep going, and what does the next 2, 3, 5 years look like?
Oh, goodness. I wish I had a crystal ball. But, what motivates me is having the freedom to be able to do new things, to create new things. Like at Powerhouse, I was able to create our sustainability program. I built our turnkey prototype. Well, I say I, but of course the team did, right? Like our team did it, but I had the ability to have that influence and shape it, which I really love. And we're building a procurement program now. So, as long as I'm able to continue to build and grow and shape things, that's what excites me, because I can build new things, shape it, and then I hand it off to somebody else, and then they can go execute, and then I go and figure out something else to build and grow and do. That's fun. That opportunity is fun. I like speaking at conferences and talking to people and learning what's happening in the industry, because what I like to do is to bring people together. I like to bring people together in extraordinary ways that people would not normally know, or that they should be connected. But I like to bring people together that should be connected to help each of them, for whatever reason, they needed to do it because it made sense to me, or it made sense to me that they would make sense together, know? And so that's fun. And so I don't know, I like innovation, learning what's new out there, and then seeing how we can be closer to the bleeding edge than the cutting edge, because I think in order for us to meet the rapid change that we're seeing, the rapid demand, we have to do things differently, and we have to think differently. And in order to do that, you can't just be teetering. You have to be really rethinking everything differently and thinking outside the box, and coming up with a new way of getting people to work together. And I just find all of that really fascinating. That's what motivates me and gets me excited.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Thanks.
If we are going to bring a new wave of talent into the sector, and whether that's hiring from adjacent industries or just bringing people into the industry, like at the ground floor, what characteristics or technical skill sets are really important for those individuals to embody if they're going to go on and be successful and make an impact?
This is a really good question. There's so many things I think that we need to see, or the new generation needs to have in order to be successful. And I think for where we sit, when I grew up, I had a computer when I went to college, I think for the first time. I'm going to get on Blackboard, right? Now they really need, the new generation needs to understand how to co-create with AI. So they need to have the skill sets to lead with a higher level of consciousness and a heart, not lead with their minds, but lead with another level of understanding. So that way, when they're interacting with AI, they're doing it from a higher perspective. And so what we've seen normally and what you see now is the stuff that gets put into AI is the stuff around contracts and whatever it is you're doing with your business, all of this stuff. So it's all process-based. So it leaves the human out. And you can't do that, because then the AI then learns that the human's not important or not in the center of things. And so for a new generation to come in our industry, what we really need them to do is be leading with their heart, leading with a higher consciousness, so that when they're interacting with AI, they're putting the human at the center. Because we want to co-create and coexist with AI, or else who knows what will happen. And we have a great opportunity right now to do just that. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for the opportunities we have with sustainability. The new generation loves the environment more than ever, right? They see the importance of it. They see the effects of global warming, and they know how important it is. And our industry already is sustainably mindset. I mean, that's in our DNA. I mean, we build things efficiently because it makes sense from a profitability standpoint, but also because it matters. And so we already have an exciting opportunity in terms of sustainability operations, exciting technical challenges. We're building the backbone of society. So there's a lot of really exciting things for new students to come and be interested in our industry about. And then if you add in their capabilities of working with AI and co-creating new things, I mean, it'll be amazing.
I don't want to go sort of too off piece here, but you said something there that's really interesting. And I think it's a point worth highlighting. We need to be taking care of the communities in which these projects are being developed. We need to be thinking about sustainability. Mm-hmm. But you also mentioned it is not in place of profitability.
Yes.
And those two things can go hand in hand.
Yes.
And it's not trying to deceive anyone that like, oh no, we're just here for you. Yes, we are here to generate revenue. We are here to make a profit, because those profits allow brilliant things to be done as well.
Yes.
And like not hiding behind that, like being open. Yes, we are a business.
Yes.
We are commercial, but we can still support you as well. Yeah. Like those two things can coexist.
100%. And I think that's another misconception people don't realize is that, people always say, oh, if you're sustainable, it costs the bottom line. No, it actually doesn't. There are things out there that are cost neutral. But yeah, we can still be sustainable. And so we can still make a profit while being sustainable. And then we can still help the community and be sustainable and make a profit. It's the triple bottom line. But what is really important there is that communities know that there are people out there that have created programs to build parks, build restore habitat, all of this stuff that now are coming into our industry saying, hey, I've got a solution for you. I can execute on this. It takes a little bit of capital money, but in turn, we can do something great for the community that you're trying to develop in that'll help you with your entitlement process. And so we know it's going to be $2 million or something more over top of what we're doing, but we wouldn't be able to really develop otherwise. So there are these groups that do the same thing with water. They'll go and they'll help all of the residents with, tightening up all of their pipes on our dime as like a CapEx project, right? That rolls right into the development. There's waste heat reuse now that we can go and sequester carbon dioxide off of the concrete there, and then we can take carbon dioxide and create food like Fork Farms does. Like we can do so much now to benefit the community that we never thought possible because of technology. And so I just went on a rampage there too, but I got excited.
No, it's fine. I think it's a good point. And it's a one that needed making, we can have profit and still be good people and still do the right thing.
I mean, like Powerhouse, we have our community engagement program. We didn't spend any money. What we do, and it's not because we don't want to spend money, because we will spend money, but what we try to do is figure out what's going on in the community. Where are the needs? Like, what is the biggest need? What I really want to talk about, though, is it's so important. You can build a community engagement program that doesn't require any money, and you can work with the community and build something that outlasts the program. So we worked with Eddie House, and they had a need. They're supplying food for all of these children, 18 to 24, trying to keep them off the streets. And then we had somebody who knew Atlantis Casino, and they have all this extra food. And then we had somebody who knew the health department, right? And so these people, Stan Thomas and Mark Siegel, they worked their butts off. They were just part of our team. They worked their butts off to get Atlantis Casino to deliver their food by working with the health department. So the leftover food from Atlantis got to go over to Eddie House, saving Eddie House $80,000 a year so they could put towards different programs to help support their people. And we didn't have to pay anything. We maybe paid like $2,000 for the transport or something like that, but that was it. So there's so much you can do to help the community without spending any money. And I think it's so important. If you just take that higher vantage point, you see where the need is, you see the different offerings that people have, and you just bring things together that wouldn't normally come together, and you can build something that outlasts the program. So if we leave Reno, that's still going to exist, and those people are still going to be helped, and that's what we can do.
Yeah. And just by bringing people together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. In a new way, right?
Yeah.
It's just because you talk to them, people to people, you realize, who do you work with? Who do you know? What are your passions? You figure out what people's passions are, and my God, you've got a winner. Yeah. You got to win.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Karen, you've been a brilliant guest, and we're not finished yet. But who do you want to see on here next? Who do you want to hear from? Who would be interesting? Who would we like to speak with? And who mainly would our audience want to hear from?
Okay, well, I saw a keynote from Phil Lawson-Shanks, and he did the history of the internet, and he's been around a long time, and he's got a cool British accent, just like you guys. So I think that he would be really interesting to hear from.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can arrange that.
Okay.
Okay, Karen, we finish every episode of People Behind the Power with a rapid fire closer.
Oh, good.
So we're going to do that now.
Okay.
3 questions, first thing that comes into your head. First question, best career advice you've received?
Ooh, best one I got was from a book, but don't imagine your career like a ladder. Imagine it like a jungle gym, because you might jump off to a lower rung, but if you keep an open mind and you're always learning, that lower rung could then project you higher on the next one. So don't see your career as a ladder, see it as a jungle gym.
Love that. One trait every leader in our industry needs in 2026.
I keep saying heart-led, right? But it's truly authentic living from your heart. That way, when you talk to people, you're reaching inside of them and connecting with them, human to human. Because I think if you want to lead in the AI era, you have to lead it human first. We cannot forget what that means.
Amazing. Lastly, a book, a podcast, or a person that has influenced you recently?
Oh my gosh, so much. I read so much. I love this stuff. So I'm going to say Eckhart Tolle. I think he's a phenomenal person. I'm talking about the human condition and how to live this life properly. Leave it like that. Anyway, it's a different kind of book for certain people, but yeah, he's great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Karen,
you.
I hope you've enjoyed yourself.
I did.
We're really grateful for you coming on. We really appreciate it. I know how busy conferences can be, and especially this one. So thank you for giving us some time. And it's been brilliant.
No, thanks for having me. I really appreciate you guys thinking I was worthy of being here. So I thank you for your time and stuff.
All good.
Okay.